Alright guys, this is the next video, video number 9 I think. So, let's see this head. Yeah, I'm not completely approving this head, let's say, but it is what it is. I think it's overall fine. The ear, we didn't make too much of a planes of the ear, but it's a cool looking head overall, so yeah, it's fine. And you will ask, but Nico, why don't you ever put eyeballs in your eyes? Because for these exercises, I don't completely need it. And you probably would need it, so I will suggest if you do it, but don't do, I told you, don't do big eyeballs. The eyeballs have to be small, pretty small. And you see, I did it like, they're almost like eyeballs inside, but they're not, you know. And this is easier because now I just hide one thing. If I put eyeballs, I have to hide two things. And when I want to show this head again, it will be difficult because I have to find the right eyes. And now we will call this A4S, which is anatomy for sculptures, head planes, and we go. I'm not sure exactly those heads, where are they from, but they look pretty cool, so we will try to do it. So first, let's do this. And let's hide this. Go to object mode, mesh, UV sphere, and add. As you can see, this is very easy, and I already told you, but I will tell you again. It's very easy to start making head after head just in one file, without like, oh, I have to open this program again. It's already open, you just start it again. From one head to another, to next, to next, to next. Some days, since I'm pretty fast, I can do up to like 5 heads in a pretty good head. I mean, each head for an hour, so like 5 hours exercise. And I think when those days are not very often, they are not coming very often, but when they come, when they are, I think I'm improving quite a bit, which is absolutely normal. So yeah, let's see. Neck again. Remember that the face part of the head is smaller than this distance between the... So if, let's see, if our face is kind of like this, yeah, it seems like it will be something like this. Then this is the face part from here to here. And this distance should be about to this area, and then we have more. So it will be just behind the ear, let's say. So yeah, about this. This is more or less. I'm not saying that always this is the case. And this will be our cheekbone and then the jaw around here. Something like this. This line, this basic thing. It's very cool. And then we can make also this line, which is connecting the cheekbone and the chewing muscle in here, the masseter muscle. I think it's a masseter, I'm not sure how it's called exactly. I never know my muscle names except for the sternocleidomastoid muscle in here. This is the sternocleidomastoid. It's very cool. And then we can make a little bit of hair and we are golden. We are golden as silence. Silence is golden, golden, but my eyes can see. Now, let's continue with our model. Make sure in view your focal length, oh, this is focal length, not length, length. I don't know, 88 or above. Some people are using 120 even, which is absolutely okay, but never use something below 85, for example. It's not gonna look good. Your head is not gonna look good. You have to be careful. Now, narrowing the front part of the head, as always. Making sure we have traps, but let's Control R to just remesh. And let's make the traps. I always make them from the back, because they are in the back. you know? And I will inflate them a bit. We don't need them too much. Make sure you don't leave the neck like this. Just increase it like that. It has to be, the neck is basically from the front. It looks like two straight lines down, as you see here. Two straight lines down, and then two lines going in, digging in, and like V-shape in here. And there on the side, it's like, what? Like squarish shape. Just going down. And this will be it. You don't need too much. Just enough. And we don't see this head from the side, but I think it will be very good exercise because we have it as a pretty stylized head, and we can see clearly the main shapes. Like I will flatten in here, and then I will have this shape a little bit, but we have to be careful. We have to dig just where the ears will start, dig it in, smooth the top part, and here we'll have the jaw. In the bottom, from the side view, the chin, we have to make it sharper and kind of dig in. As you can see here, it's kind of in. That's always a good thing to do. And now from the front view, I will make sure this is flat. And the jaw is also flat. So flat and flat on the sides. Don't make it like round like this. This is not a good jaw, you know? Flatten it. Just flat, like this. And it will look better. Now, the next thing. We want the muzzle of the mouth. As you can see, we have something muzzle of the mouth. I will push. I will push also these areas because I will make the separation between the forehead and the face part. And then the nose will be here, and I will dig. You see how deep is this thing? Just the corners of the eye. See how big is the distance between the corner of the eye and the where the nose begins. It's very big. It's very big. So always look at those things. I am paying attention to those things, so you can then look at your reference and say, okay, this is looking like Nico said. Everything is like Nico said. Nico has good observation skills, but Nico is also human, so be careful. Don't trust any human-made image as much as you trust photographs. But also, don't trust photographs that much, because your understanding of each form in the photograph could be a little bit twisted, and that happens. So be careful with everything and make sure for every form of the head to have a couple of references and to look at multiple sources. That's my best advice probably to give you if you want to be good, if you want to be real good in face anatomy, which I'm not saying I am that good, but yeah. Okay, let's make the ears a little bit. Okay, ears. As you can see, cheekbones, and then the cheekbones are kind of a little bit pronounced, and then the ears are coming from behind the cheekbones backwards. You see? You know, you cannot see the beginnings of my ears when I'm completely forward, because the cheekbones are kind of going outward and then going in. Not too much, but enough. So don't make them like this. It will be too much. You know, make them enough, not too much. Now, my nose is too short. I will just make it a bit longer. I will make this a bit like this, and then I will dial down the ears. And there are a few things that I don't like here. The ears are too sharp. I will soften them. And what else? Yeah, the jaw is too wide. I will narrow. Also, this area is too wide. And then the neck, I like it to be a bit wider. So in the concept it's a bit wider, so I will do it. And this is relatively fine. Let's increase the resolution a lot. And then I will smooth it a lot. Because I have the overall shapes, I have to just kind of sharpen them. So I will smoothing here. And the 3/4 view I like. It's kind of cool. So we need to have this shape, the temporal line shape, and we need to have this coming from a little bit above the middle of the ear, and then going through here, and then we'll have this kind of shapes. Muzzle of the mouth shape, and the nose, as I told you, is always the nostrils are in. It's kind of triangular shape, like this. But the sides of the triangle, as you see, they didn't quite make them sharp, because they are not. Most of the time they are not super sharp. But the front of the nose, I would never leave it that sharp. It should be a plane, like this. And then you have this kind of a trapezius plane pointing a little bit downwards or forward in here. And it's happening. It's kind of happening. But you have to be careful where you put the temporal lines, where you put the cheekbone line, and where you put all the things, because it's not ultra simple, as you probably have noticed until now. Sharpen this, not sharpen this, but flatten it. And then this kind of V shape. And it's looking relatively fine. Yeah, maybe the cheekbones are a little bit too much up, but let's make the eye bulges, because they have them. They're a very important part of the overall thing. Let's make this and this. Let's kind of dial up those areas here, like forward, to have a little bit of a dimple above them, and then smooth them a bit. And then maybe again, we can dial down the cheekbones a bit more down. They shouldn't be that much up. I made them too much up. Then on the top of the eye bulge, I will make a little bit of a crease. Like this. Let's see. Like in the concept. I'm looking at the concept and I'm trying to achieve similar result. Probably I will not be able to do the same result, but similar. I have to inflate this area to here, just around the cheekbones. It's not exactly a plane in the concept, it's a little bit inflated, and just here on the cheekbones it's a little bit sharper. But of course those are planes of the head. You don't have to make this when you're making a normal head. But those planes will help you make a normal head, because they will help you understand the forms better. Of course, if you know what is below, it's better. But as I shown you in this particular image, you always can see here where the main muscles are coming from and why are those shapes on one side the shapes they are. You know, that's the thing. Oh, let me just stretch a bit. Okay, so you see, by the way, let me show you. The distance between the nose and the chin is this, and it's separated by 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. So the first part is exactly the middle of the mouth. But this is 1/3, not the half. And then the other parts. So careful with this. Yeah, we have proportions here. You can check them out if you want. As for example, the top of the head to the bottom of the chin. And the middle is kind of where the eye is, when the middle of the eye is. Most of the time. You know? And for example, if you take eye, the corner, the outer corner of the eye, and the other outer corner of the eye, of course, and you have one eye, between them is one eye, and then another eye. You have 3 eyes in the front, basically. Between the eyes, the distance is, most of the time, is 1 eye. Of course, this varies a little bit, not too much. But there are people that have a little bit more of a distance between the eyes, and they look certain way. And there are people who have a little bit less of 1 eye distance, and they look certain interesting way too. For me, I think my distance is, I would say, one eye. If we consider the eye from the, teardrop things to the side here of where probably it's one eye. Most likely. But this is a very good head. As we can see, if we look only half of it, it's pretty cool looking head. It's almost like a scan. So this is a good reference. From the side view, you see how it's not round shape. It's more like a, kind of a flat here, and then here it's flat and then flat down. You see? Very cool. And then here and here. Here, sternocleidomastoid muscle, jaw, and this thing in here, and then the other amazing stuff. And then this will be, around, maybe a little bit backwards, but here will be our sternocleidomastoid, not the mastoid muscle. I think it's mastoid, I'm not sure, but it's it's a little bit backwards than what I usually do it. Probably this head could be, I'm not sure, could be a little bit wider in this direction. In this direction here, a little bit wider. But who knows? I should know, right? I don't know. It's fine. Now, let's continue with this head. It's looking relatively fine, but from the side view, I don't completely approve it. Let's smooth it a bit. The ears, for example, I have to inflate the corners of the ears. They are a little bit too sharp. We don't want that. And the top is a little bit too sharp. But overall, it could work. We'll see. The cheekbones, I think, are a little bit too high again, yet again. And the nose could use some work. Also, this area here, I will just, it was too wide. I will make it a little bit narrower. And here, this is very interesting. We'll have this plane and front plane, which is kind of making the forehead a little bit more interesting. And also, the top of the head, after the temporal line, will be more like sharp, which I like. I like this type of... If it is like this, I don't like it. But sharp, here, corner, on the top, I like. So, yeah. Not super sharp, though. I mean, don't overdo it. Overdoing is never a good thing. Doing it properly, in the right way, and of course, it will take time to do it absolutely properly. In the beginning, you may overdo it. Probably it's fine, but it's not. So don't overdo it. But it's probably fine. It's better to overdo it than to not do it at all. So I guess it's fine. Now this could be a nice head in the beginning. Yeah, but looks cool. But yeah, I don't like this line in here. It's not going in. It's going mostly forward, down. I like it to go a little bit more in, like the concept, like this. It would be a bit more interesting if it does. And from the side view, I will push it back in this area a bit. Not sure that this will be the greatest, but it's looking kind of okay for now. It's looking okay. Alright, we have this, which is a simple headish exercise. It's not ultra simple, don't get me wrong, it's kind of simple, but it's could be difficult for many people in the beginning especially. So don't think, oh, this guy is saying it's simple, but I cannot do it. It's not that simple. But if you do it a couple of times, I recommend this course. You do it. You do all the heads. And you are becoming better. You will become better. It's inevitable. But after that, you start doing heads from reference to something. At some point, you may go back to this course again, because even if you look at those lectures and you kind of watch them twice or 3 times, you will miss something. That's inevitable. It's always like this with anatomy lectures and this kind of shapes. They are pretty complex shapes. So I suggest you watch it again someday. Maybe the nose is a little bit too wide. But this will be phase 01. Okay, phase 01. Okay, now we duplicate this phase 01, Shift D in this case, and we call it phase 02, which probably will be the final phase. Because you see, these are some planes, which is okay, but at the end it's just those planes but a little bit smoothed. It's not something that's complete. So let's try to do this head. Let's try to do this head. And it looks pretty cool. By the way, this head has a little bit of an issue. What? It's a little bit pointing outward like this, up. Why? Why am I saying that? Because the nose, if we go a line, and then we see it covers the ears. If I'm looking straight at the camera, my nose and the bottom of the ear is on one line. But if I do this, then my nose and it goes like to the middle of the ear. Because, you know, the more you go like this, your nose is now above the ear, the line. So that's a little bit of an issue probably. I don't know if it will make a problem for us, but we'll see. Now, what? Okay, let's go to phase 2 and select it and make sure we're working on the phase 2. Phase 1 is okay, but phase 2 is better. Obviously. But you see, in phase 1, the nose was sharp. And I didn't make it sharp because I don't like to make it sharp. I make it like the phase 2, like with this kind of a flat plane. I will just increase the size of this middle point here, because in this way it will be much easier for me to make the nostrils. And then this will be kind of cool in the middle. Gotta be the man in the middle if you got a big fat riddle. Figure it out. Linkin Park? I think. Okay, this, you see how this line works here. Very cool. And it's pointing downwards because the head is a little bit more up. That's why I said, okay, those eyebrows are pointing down, like the skull, okay. But you see, in my case, they're not pointing down. Well, eyebrows. But here they're pointing down. So, yeah, if we're pointing like this, they will point down. If we're like this, they will be kind of straight, almost a little bit pointing down. And by pointing down, I mean like this down, not completely sideways or a little bit down, but they're pointing pretty much down here, you know. It's like, I'm sad. But it is because he's like this. He's a little bit more up with the head, which is okay, which is fine. Now I will smooth this area here, I will smooth this area here, and on the corners of the mouth, I will kind of dig a bit deeper. As you can see, on the corners of the mouth, we have this corner here, you know. And now I will make kind of the upper eyelid. Below it, I will dig. I always dig a lot below the upper eyelid. And then the lower eyelid, and then I will dig again above it to make the eye itself. And we have reasonable eyes. Now, from the bottom view, I always go because otherwise it will be hell. And just push, pull until I have kind of a nice looking half spheres, let's say. Okay, that's important. Do it every time. Or put half spheres or spheres inside, which are small. One of the biggest beginner mistakes, and you will see it in the feedback sessions, it's that people are making big eyes. And when you put big eyeballs inside your eyes, the eyes become bigger. Then your forehead, overall this part of the head becomes wider, and then everything becomes, you know, like an alien stuff. This is very important. Very important. And how to say how big will be the shape of the eye. I mean the eyeball. How big will be the eyeball? If you look at the head from the front, most of the time, let me show you something. So, the eye will be this shape. So this is the teardrop here thing. Then we have the lower eyelid. Then it has thickness, by the way. This is the thickness of the lower. It's pretty thick. We have to make those pretty thick. Then we have the crease over the eye, around like this. But make sure this crease is not completely uniformal like it's here. Most of the time, let me show you how it is. So sometimes you see this crease in this area, in the inner part, and then this crease is almost covering the whole eyelid in this area, which looks pretty cool. I mean, if I look like this, it should be, the crease is visible in the middle point, but then it's completely covering the upper eyelid, which is cool. But the eye is from here to here. This is what we call eye. So the distance between the eyes is usually one eye. I made my eye too big, but whatever. Usually one eye is here, one eye. And then one eye is here. And then one eye, some people are saying, but a little bit less than one eye, is until the widest point of the head without the ear, of course, which is here. It's not here. The widest point of the head is around this area, just above the ears. So this, usually this distance is 5 eyes. Plus or minus, maybe a little bit less than 5 eyes, because we have 3 in the middle and then 2 on the sides. So 5 eyes. Okay, good. Now, very important. The eyeball inside the eye is smaller than the eye itself. It's smaller. It's like this. Overall, it will be around this size. So it's around the size of the nose, even maybe less big. Smaller than the width of the nostrils, because the width of the nostrils is almost one eye. It varies a lot, but still, you see, from here it's one eye, from here to here it's his one eye, it's this big, and the width of the nostrils is around the same size. In his case is maybe a little bit less, but whatever. But the eyeball is from here to here. It's much smaller. This is the size of the eyeball. And the eyeball fits the width of the head 6.5 times. So it will be like 6 of this kind of spheres. And even more than 6. So be careful not to make your eyeball, because people are making it this big. Around this size. Which, or something in this, don't make it like this. It will be not cool at all. Now, what I notice here is we have a sharp point in here, which looks very nice. I like it, how it's like, you know, change of planes a little bit there. It looks very educational, so let's make it. Also, what I like to do is here is push above the cheekbone a little bit. So to make this particular plane in here, this plane, this guy is coming here, and this plane will continue forward, and this is going inside it. You cannot quite understand what I'm saying, but it's kind of the same in here. You know, this is this plane that I'm drawing, this one. It's here. And then this one is going here and it stops, and this plane is continuing kind of forward, but it's already changing the direction. It's yeah. Hopefully at some point it will be more clear for you, but I'm sure that now it's a little bit like, but what is this guy talking about? I'm trying to make it more clear. And yeah, I will make it more clear by just sculpting it, most likely. And from the front, from the side view, I always like the lower eyelid to go behind. So a little bit behind the upper eyelid. The upper eyelid should be more, you know, prominent. And then when you put the eyeball, put it a little bit more up. So why? Because when you put it more up, it will stay like this. You see, the center of the eyeball will be around this area. The most, the most forward point of the eyeball will be here, and this way the upper eyelid will stay over the lower eyelid, because the ball is kind of more forward in here, and then it's going backward here, and the lower eyelid will be more like this. And this way, when you put your you know, the eye, the black of the eye, when you put it, it will stay more inside the upper eyelid. It has to stay there. I mean, if you put it in the middle, it will be a big mistake. It will look like this. Your eyes will look like this. But if it is half cut, almost half cut by the upper eyelid, so imagine this will be one type of eye, and our the iris will be here, which looks like this. You know, it's never a very good eye. But the normal type of eye will be like this, and the iris will be around here. Why? Because the most prominent and forward part of this eyeball, which is around this size, will be here, a little bit lower than the upper eyelid, so it's around here. And now this looks far better. It's not like, I'm scared, you know, open eye. It looks like normal eye. You see my eyes? The iris is cut from the upper eyelid. But let's continue. We are, you know, taking too much time to explain things, but this is a tutorial and course, so I think it's normal. I will cut in here. I will, by the way, cut also in here a little bit and then smooth it a lot. But I need to have this muzzle of the mouth around this area, and we will see around the muzzle of the mouth I will make this kind of inflations a little bit, we may say. And I'm trying to stick to the concept, by the way, which means that I have to make a little bit of a bigger chin in here, as in the concept, and then make this muscles in here, which are below the lower lip. You will see. In some people they are pretty pronounced, by the way. They're like this. In Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example, they are pretty visible. In our case, we just have them, but they're not ultra kind of a bumped, but they are there. They make this shape. Sometimes the shape of the chin here is like this. Sometimes it's not exactly like this. It's a little bit different, but there are times that it's like this. So yeah, it depends. So this dimple here, we make it. Then I'm starting with the M shape. As you see, when we have a concept, it's kind of easier. Now I am pushing a bit the upper lip, but not too much. I'm mostly using my move brush or grab brush in Blender. Move brush, for those who use ZBrush, of course, is okay. Then the lower lip, I will add more meat to it. And then I will push the corners of the lower lip a bit inward. Because this area here is kind of a marionette line. We have this kind of push in. And then the corners of the mouth themselves, I will just push them a bit more. And I will maybe move them a bit up. So, most of the time when I'm doing head, let me increase the mouth a bit, because it's a little bit too small. And also the upper lip. But most of the time when I'm doing heads, I am not doing this type of head. I'm doing other types of heads, because in my mind the head is like what I'm doing. But when I'm using reference, the heads are getting a bit more interesting always. So now I like how this head is starting to appear. It's starting to appear pretty nicely, I would say. Even better than the concept. No, it's never better than the concept. It could be. If the concept is pretty bad, then it could be better than the concept, definitely. But most of the time it will not be. So, what am I noticing here? Maybe the chin is a little bit too small in our case. So yeah, let's fix it. By the way, I'm sure that many of you, since we have only the front reference, your head will look decent from the front, but when you turn it a little bit, and it will start to look nightmarish, which is absolutely normal because you don't have the overall sense of how those areas work right now. I mean, it's not completely clear for you yet. And everything will be a big mess for some time until you make enough heads. And even, listen to me very careful because this is very important. I want to emphasize on that completely a lot. So, let me tell you how I feel when I work. I'm working on improving my head anatomy, for example. And I'm making heads. I'm making first head without reference, as we did it. Usually I do that. And I see where my weak points are, what I have to improve. Okay. Then I start with references. I'm doing head from reference 1, then head from reference number 2, and then 3, 4, 5. And it started to get better. I mean, I'm like starting to get momentum. And it's starting to get better. And it's very nice. Yeah. This looks a little bit like anime head, by the way. Whatever. So, starting to get better and better. And I'm like, yeah, very nice. At some point, after like 10th head or 20th head, it doesn't matter. And it's not only with heads this. When I'm making for example, the 23rd head, and it's not going well. I'm like, but here, what was I supposed to do here and here? And it's a mess. And I'm like, what? Am I getting worse? This head is almost worse than my first head. And I'm like, what is happening? But now I know that this is a temporal kind of a fall that is happening. Other artists also told me that this is happening. And you have this temporal fall for 1 or 2 heads, and then maybe the next day or the day after that, you will start, your brain probably will already be kind of locked some things into places, and then you will start to climb up again with the better quality. I don't know how this will work for more beginner artists, but for me, it was working this way. Now, what I will want to do is to push the nose a bit in, and also to pull the chin a bit out, and also overall to pull the neck a bit forward, and maybe, yeah, maybe to push the eye part a bit back. Yeah, there are things that we have to do. Yeah, now it looks like his lower chin is a bit, so I will just push it. No, normally, as I told you, the upper teeth are above the lower teeth. Normally. But in some people, this lower jaw is kind of going forward, which I usually don't do, except if my character is like a Hulk type of character or some kind of a strong character, then I can do it. But other than that, I don't know. So I will sharpen the chin a little bit. Yeah. Sharpen it. So it looks a little bit more female-ish. Because this, I'm planning to do it to look more like a anime character, really. And it's starting to look like anime character. The mouth, and this kind of a thin nose, and this kind of a stylized cheekbones and everything. It's, I think you all can agree that it's starting to look like anime character a little bit. Which is great, because there are people that say, when you are going to do anime character, this is a good references to do anime character, so do it. Maybe your character also will become anime a little bit. So, if you notice, he has this kind of lines in here. I always like to dig a little bit and then smooth it. Just a little line in here, which is the line that there is a little bit of fat pad in the bottom and a little bit fat pad on the top. We have fat pads here below the eyelids, by the way. And sometimes those fat pads in the morning, especially after we drink a lot, they look like this. And people are like, wow, am I sick or something? When we are sick also, those fat pads are kind of filling with water, or I'm not sure exactly what happens, but yeah. In a healthy, normal person, those fat pads really are not visible that much, but when we grow old, those fat pads are starting to show a lot because thank you, they sag a little bit. And that's why we start to look like this and then like this. Older. All right. How much time we have? We have a little bit more time. Let's make the ears. Again, the question shape, the question mark shape, and the Y shape inside. I will do like this. It's Y. The question is Y. And I will push the outer part, the inner part here of the Y, of the question mark, I mean. It has to go inside. Like, I will even push it with the brush. And then here we will have a little bit of a, bump. We always have this kind of a little bump in there. It depends on what kind of person you are, but most of the time you have it. And yeah, we will see it in some ears when we look from a side view. But for now, those ears are just to have something. You have to have ears. You have to spend time on ears, because if you don't practice ears, your heads will become worse. They will not be as nice as they could be. Yeah, let's make a little bit more geometry. Add more geometry, hopefully. Yes, good. By the way, yeah, symmetrize. When we have a lot of geometry and when we symmetrize, it takes longer, definitely. But after all, it's symmetrical. We can smooth a little bit and then sharpen some areas that we want. Put more detail, we may say. But be careful with those, with the remesh here, because I've already told you, I think, but sometimes you can go as low as 0.00001 and then your problems will be huge. I mean, most likely you will have to restart your computer. At least when I do that, that's what I have to do. I have to restart my computer. Now here, what I like to do is always put a little bit more meat, but only on the side of the lower lip. Just a little bit more meat. And here we'll have this kind of a sharp area and sharp in here, and just dig on the sides. Just on the side, and then smooth it. And then we might add a little bit more meat with inflate brush. Yeah, he's looking like he's he knows something that we don't know. This is the smile of a guy who knows something that other people don't know. Or at least he thinks that he knows something. But does he? Nobody knows. It's unknown if he really knows. But if he could know, why not? I'm just trying to make sure I have this similar type of chin like him. A little bit of a pinching on those areas here. This nose line. If I knew how it's called, it would be nice, but even if I knew how it's called, this line I mean, probably it will not be useful for you because you wouldn't know. So I'm not using too much names, as you can see, for muscles, for fat pads and stuff like that. I'm just saying this, there's a fat pad in this area. You see it colored in this color, or you don't see it colored, but I'm showing you, or stuff like this. Here on the corner of the eye, the inner corner, we will have this kind of a bulge, which is separate from the eye. So the eyeball I mean, and then this bulge is after the eyeball, which you can make it, and it will look a little bit more realistic, maybe. but it's not mandatory. I mean, it's kind of mandatory if you want to do a nice head. You have to look at it and see this kind of little bulging here. This looks, I would say, kind of cool. I will make sure this is more like a anime head. Yeah, looking anime from the front, from the side view not so much, but this is phase 1 and this is phase 2. So phase 2 is a little bit better. Now, next thing that I want to do another exercise, but this one is pretty cool. I'm not sure I want to do this particular one. It will be pretty ugly, but you can do it, of course. It's in the file here, so you can do it. Those things probably will not be in the file because those are my things that I'm using, and I'm using one PureRef file for everything. But see here the skull from the top. Those I think are scans, and you see the cheekbones, how they are kind of going outward and then back. And also you see the egg shape of the skull overall. So in the front a little bit narrower, in the back wider. Amazing. Those are very big mistakes. I mean, very big eyeballs, for example, here. Enormous form of the shape of the skull, very big. The chin is just non-existent almost. Like there is no skull, which is like flat in here, and then like it's nothing there. But overall, it looks pretty cool without all of those problems, which are main problems, because detail wise and color wise and stuff, it looks pretty cool. But you know, we will do some real things. So a Zaro head, I'm not sure we want to do a Zaro head, although it will be cool, but it's difficult to find a real Azaro head. This head seems like a real Azaro head, but there are kind of variations of the Azaro head. Probably will make this Azaro head because it's cool. I have this plane in here. We have this above the eyelids, which is kind of dimple here above the eyebrow. Very cool. It looks pretty cool, so we might want to do it. Yeah. But we'll see. Bye for now, and see you in the next exercise.